Hello and welcome back to A Year Gardening. And we're now in 2022 and our third year. And been doing quite a lot over the last few months. As you can see, I've started to build this pergola extension onto the summer house. Got lots of plants getting ready for this year for a lovely, lovely summer. So let me just show you what I've been doing over the last few months while we've been away. Well, one of the little jobs we do late January, early February is start getting our summer flowers ready. So I'm back here in the greenhouse today and I'm just going to be planting up some of my dahlia tubers. So I'll just show you that. So what I tend to do is I will just half fill my pots with some nice compost, and I've sorted out some of my nice dried tubers here. Just make sure they haven't gone soft over winter and these are nice and hard, and then we'll just pop those gently into the top of the soil, and then we'll bring in some compost and cover those. Bring that up so it's coming right up to the top of the tuber. Just pop another one into here, nice and dry and firm, and in with the compost around there. And I've got 14 or 15 of these which I'm going to be planting up for our summer display this year. And once I've got them all planted out, I just will give them a little bit of moisture to start to encourage growth, but I'm not going to overwater these. Just a nice little bit of water in like so, and then of course take a label to mark the pots so we know what's in there. Dahlia, and these are pom-pom, and we just mark up the side of the pots, and then we'll transfer these over onto the racking to start to grow for this year. Really looking forward to seeing these little beauties. A couple of other things I'd like to show you whilst we're down here as well. Another little job that I started a couple of weeks ago was to start chitting the old seed potatoes, and they're coming on really, really nicely. And big thank you to Amanda and Liam for some of the egg boxes. I've got quite a few of these on the go, not just these ones here, there's quite a few going now. I also have some new roses. These are a hybrid tea rose called Waltz Time, and they have a beautiful lilac flower on them. And these three are going to be going into the new border that I finished at the end of last year. And now we're into February. I've brought my echinacea plants out. These are a beautiful daisy. I've got some growing in the front garden and I wanted some more. So these I've started off inside in the dark, and they are now ready to come outside into the greenhouse. Still got to be well protected, but if you're planting up echinaceas, February is the time to do that. Well, the greenhouse is going rather well at the moment. We've got lots of plants on the way flower wise. We've also got a lot of seeds which we've started off. We've got some broad beans, some runner beans, and I've just sown some tomato and some cucumber seeds for the next year, and that's all going to start coming forward as we progress through the year. I'm really looking forward to being able to actually have some people around in the garden this year, because we're going to be relieved from a lot of the restrictions that we've been under. So there's lots of things that I've been able to crack on with and thoroughly enjoy. let's go and have a look at some of the plants that are actually thriving well in the garden at the moment. In the garden at the moment, the lovely hellebores have come out, and they are our first sign of spring, and they give me such joy at this time of the year. Also, the alliums that I planted at the end of last year, they're coming through nicely, and so are the tulips, and they're going to give us a nice display. And finally, just a little shot of some of the rhubarb that's growing. Things that I've really enjoyed doing was reusing some of this old timber and now just repurposing it to something new. So a lot of this timber came out of an old bed we had when we got our new metal bed, and so I saved all the timber, and that's now going into this project, which is a really wonderful thing to be able to do. And the building is really taking shape. Well, we've had a little bit of rough weather lately, and the storm has caused us a little bit of damage. The door has come off of the shed and been ripped off of here, and also the roof has gone, but fortunately the polytunnel stayed in shape. Got some of the roof down here, so I suppose the next job I've got to do is actually start doing some repair work on this. Well, another thing that the storm did is it's moved our washing line, unfortunately, so I've got to lift some of this area of the courtyard garden, dig down into the ground and re-concrete this into the ground and get it back up to a level, and that's going to take a little bit of time as well. But the storm has passed, and we're getting some nicer weather coming through. It's a little bit cold, and I've got to watch when I'm doing the concrete that we're above 4 degrees, so the concrete is going to set. So that's the next job on my list. Well, where the old shelf was that I used to do my potting up, that's been cleared out, and we've now got a nice garden storage box there for my pots, and we've been working on the shed as well. The shed door is now back in place and all fixed up nicely, and where the shed was actually leaning, we've fitted braces to both sides to bring the shed back up into a square. All I've now got to do is to get a new, roof, but that's in a few days' time, I think. So generally we've had quite a busy time, and we've put this back together quite well, and I'm particularly pleased with the repositioning of that box down here. So the first thing I've got to do now is I've got to close down the washing line and then separate it. It's a two-part washing line, so the top part very easily comes off the bottom part, so they say. There we go. And once I've got that lifted out, then I've got easy access to the ground. Now there's a little piece in the ground there and I've got to work with that, but the one thing I've got to do then is I've got to lift that, but I've got to clear all the ground around it first of all the stones. So we'll get that done first of all by breaking up the concrete that's already half broken, and that's why the washing line had moved, because the concrete had actually split in two down the middle. So the first thing I've got to do is actually to clear the decorative stones. So I clear all the stones from around the top first of all, make sure it's nice and clean and clear, because I'm going to reuse those stones when I put the line back in. Well, now I've cleared those stones, the next thing I've got to do is I've got to remove those lumps of concrete from out of the soil. Not an easy part this, lifting the old concrete out of the ground, but there it goes. We have to get rid of this because we've got to re-dig the hole and then mix up some new concrete to go in the ground to make it nice and firm for the new washing line. Not going to be easy, but hey, we've got a hole to dig. Yeah. Okay, well, it's time to get the spade into the ground. Now we're going to dig this about a spit and a half deep. For those of you who are not familiar, a spit is the length of the spade from the top to the bottom of the bit that goes in the ground. Not the handle included, but just the actual spade level. We go about a spit and a half down into the ground to make a decent hole, and I'm going to make this around about ½ metre wide, so it's going to be plenty strong enough, hopefully, to support this line against any future winds. Oh, we're nearly there. That's the hole just about dug. So the most important thing now is not to mix the concrete, because tonight is going to be too cold, and we'll do that on another day. For me to put those new roses in the ground. So what do I use when I'm putting roses in? I have my peat-free compost, rose and shrub fertiliser, and I put a little handful of the rose and shrub fertiliser in the bottom of the hole, add the compost, and then some soil back over the top, and then nicely water them in. So let's get some roses into the ground. So I've prepared 3 holes in the ground, dug them to around about 8 inches deep, in order to take these new roses. Now these have been soaked in water for a few days, and when I'm planting my roses, I plant them just up to the top of that root there. So looking at that there, that's going to be a perfect depth for the hole. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a small handful of the fertiliser pellets, sprinkle those into the bottom of the hole. I'll take a handful of my peat-free compost, just mix that nicely. Take the rose, and that's going to be a good height there. Another couple of handfuls of compost around the roots to really give them a nice dry medium to start off in the ground. Wipe that down nicely there. put the soil back on, I'm just going to add a little bit of water onto the compost. The compost is fairly dry. And then we'll take some of the soil I've had. Bring that around the plant. Really quite nice. It's lovely to be outside planting again and have a nice little bit of sunshine as well. Really, really pleasant. So then we can just move that around. I'm not going to do it too tight, just down by hand. Got the crown of the rose just here. And then I'll top that off with some more compost just to give it a bit of a mulch to enable some moisture retention. Give the plants the best chance they can of growing. As I said, this rose is called Waltz Time. It has a lovely lilac flower and will go really nicely with the hebes, which have the lilac flower, and the geraniums, which are pink. And then we've got the alliums, which are also a lilac-y pink colour. Be a nice little theme to this area of the garden. I'm quite looking forward to summer when we come and sit in this new border and we can enjoy the plants. I'm now going to get on plant the other two roses. Well, there we have the 3 roses in the ground, and they're going to give me a nice scent and lots of lovely colour during the summer. And I'm really looking forward to, as I say, being in this little area of the garden during those nice warm evenings. So get a nice cup of tea, a glass of wine, and enjoy the flowers around me. So I think it's probably now time to just sum up what we've done in this little show today. Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me that the weather has not been that great for getting outside over the last few weeks, and so we've got a little bit of a shorter show than I would normally like to put together today, but I hope you've enjoyed what I've shown you so far. The construction of this little pergola has gone really well, and I've got a lot of tidying up to do. Where the wind has run through the garden and just knocked a few things down, we'll tidy that up and we'll enjoy the blessings that spring is going to bring us. We're going to be heading towards Easter, which is normally a time where our weather changes. The clocks will change during the month of March, which is a wonderful thing, and we'll get those longer evenings coming. I've got the daffodils coming out in the front garden and they're looking splendid, and I'll share those with you in the next show as well. We'll hopefully have the shed fully repaired. We were very, very lucky in our garden that we didn't lose any of our fencing. We just had some minor damage and we've been able to put that back together. And I really do feel for those people who lost a lot more than we have. So we've been very lucky. I hope you've been very lucky as well. Now, the plants that we've put in to the pots over the last couple of weeks are starting to come through, and I'm sure we're going to be blessed with a wonderful summer, an array of colour in the garden. We're going to be planting our wildflower seeds again in the front garden, and hopefully we'll be doing that in the next show and we can share that with you as well. So all in all, it's a positive, it's a looking forward, and it's a time to be really, really happy. We can get outside very, very soon with a few more hours and we can start to enjoy our open spaces. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much for joining me again. It's amazing we're into our 3rd year of these little broadcasts, and just stay safe, stay well, stay happy, be kind to each other, and I'll just leave you with a small lager beer and say cheers.